Hello and welcome to pmslounge.com. In this video, let's talk about timeline and color code dots. Now, if you're wondering as a project manager, a project management professional, an agile project manager, or a scrum master, whoever you are, right? As part of your role, are you required to study something like timeline and color code dots? What exactly is this topic all about? So let me give you some context before we begin. Now, the first thing to know is, as always, if you're into reading articles, check out the first link in the description because that is going to take you to an article on this topic over at our official website pnclounge.com. So if you want to read about this topic, check out the first link. But this topic is related to retrospective meetings. And as an agile project manager or just a project manager or even a scrum master, you are expected to be the host of retrospective meetings. You are expected to be the moderator of retrospective meetings. So this is where timeline and color code dots topic come into the picture. Retrospective meetings, we have done a video on this topic as well in the past. So check out the second link in the description. It will take you to that video. And there are 4 steps to basically do your retrospective meetings correctly. The first step is breaking the ice. We've already talked about the techniques that you can use to break the ice to start off your retrospective meetings. That video will be the third link in the description if you want to check that out. The second step in retrospective meetings is generating data, gathering data, right? Collecting data of what all happened as part of your sprint or as part of your project. Now, this is where timeline and color code dots come into the picture because these are 2 techniques that can help you gather data. So I hope the context is clear. I hope you understand why we are talking about timeline and color code dots. So let's start off with timeline. And timeline is basically what it sounds like. It is a chronological list of all the meaningful activities or events that took place during the course of a sprint. Now, as a Scrum Master or an Agile project manager, you're not expected to come up with this list because each team member, they are going to participate in this activity. So each team member, they add cards to the sprint timeline with the events or activities that were significant to them, right? So every agile team member, scrum team member, project team member, they are basically helping you out and they are uh, listing all the events or activities in the sprint timeline that were significant to them. Now, after every team member is done with this activity, one iteration is done, the entire team is going to review the timeline and they are going to add any cards that might have been missed. So any event or activity that is not listed, it will be added in the timeline. So that is what timeline is all about. In the next slide, let's take a look at an example of how a timeline looks like. So this is just an example. On real life, you might just have a board and people are basically using sticky notes to mention, the events or activities that were important to them, that were significant during the course of the sprint. So a performance bug found, it is possible that this was on day 2. Then MVP feature is completed, schedule delay due to dependency on another team. We had a team lunch and testing complete with green status. So you have a timeline of sorts. And like I said, each team may have a different way of doing this. This is just an example. It is not necessary that all teams follow something like this. So this is basically timeline, a chronological order. Remember, it is a chronological order of all the significant events that have taken place during the course of a sprint. Your entire team has helped you come up with this timeline. A quick reminder, all our PMP courseware articles and videos are listed on pmclounge.com/PMP training. Everything's free. Check it out. So the next step after your timeline is ready, the next step is color code dots. Now these are basically dots, and these are used along with the timeline. So these two are not two different techniques. You have a timeline and then you use color code dots. These are used by the team members to indicate how they felt about all the events on the timeline. Very, very important here, right? So they're talking about how they felt about each of the events or activities that you see on the timeline. The retrospective meeting moderator, which in most cases is going to be you as a project manager or a scrum master, right? So you are going to provide colored dots to the team members which can represent their feelings. As an example, a green dot represents a positive feeling and a yellow dot represents a negative feeling. So these dots are something that you have provided to your project team, your scrum team, and you are now asking them to basically place these dots on the timeline, which is what the next sentence here talks about. All the team members, they are going to go over the timeline and they are going to place those dots on the events or the activities listed in the timeline to indicate whether they felt positive or negative during those activities or during those events. So obviously we saw a team lunch in the last slide, right? uh, I believe everyone is going to feel positive about it and it is going to receive a lot of green dots. So let's take an example in the next slide. Let's take a look at that. So this is the timeline with color code dots. This is the same timeline that we talked about in one of our previous slides. And these are the dots that your team members have put in. Nobody was happy with this event or activity, and this was schedule delay due to dependency on another team. Everyone was happy with the team lunch. Everyone was happy when the testing was complete with green status. Everyone was happy when MVP feature was completed. Some team members were happy, the others were not when a performance bug was found. So some people might be happy that they figured this bug out, so that it doesn't cause much stress later on during the sprint. Some people might be unhappy because they have to work extra to fix this bug. So it depends, right? So this is how the team is going to put color coded dots on each of the events or activities, and this is how data gathering basically works. So a quick question before we wrap this video up. As the retrospective coordinator, right? You are the project manager or the scrum master who is the coordinator, who is the moderator of the retrospective. Now, are you going to allow your team members to discuss the color code dots they are using for a specific activity or an event? So we saw in the previous slide that two people thought uh, they basically felt negative when a performance bug was found, and two people felt positive when a performance bug was found. So are you going to allow these team members to discuss while they are putting these dots about their feelings? It is a tricky question. Are you going to allow that? Let me know in the comments. Definitely looking forward to your answers. So that's all that we had in this video. Like, share, subscribe. If you like our work, use the thanks button on YouTube and contribute to us. If you want to contribute from our website, you can head over to pmclounge.com/contribute. Don't forget to check out our website, pmclounge.com, your number one free PMP and project management resource. Thank you and have a nice day.